Student named Timothy Geithner, who is now facing calls to resign. Patrick Byrne is founder and CEO of Overstock.com, O.co, and we appreciate you being here live with us, Patrick. So you know both of these guys. First, let's get to Buffett at the moment. I talked to him today because, of course, we should point out that not only did S&P downgrade Fannie and Freddie and the United States U.S. credit rating, but they also downgraded the outlook of Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. They downgraded that. And Warren said, I talked to him today, and I said, what did you think of that? And he said, oh, what? They said they were going to do that last week. So he doesn't really care, but America cares because they see these shining examples of what has always been AAA being downgraded. So my question to you, Warren Buffett, what would you learn from somebody like that today?
Well, first, let me say, it gives me too much credit to call me a protege of his, but he has been a great teacher in my life. I love him. He's taught me a great deal of what I know. I think for several years, Mr. Buffett knows, I've been much more pessimistic about really our society than he has been. Now, people, as a general rule, you shouldn't bet against Warren Buffett, but I've carried a pessimism with me for about 7 years that he has never shared, that at least publicly. And that is, John Maynard Keynes, and I come from the Austrian economic tradition, which means I'm very critical of Keynesianism, but Keynes was a great economist. Keynes had this expression, the bezel. He talked about the bezel. And the bezel is, if at any one time, the difference between what people thought was in the system and what's actually there, i.e. the amount that has been collectively embezzled over time. He called the bezel. Well, I think that there's been a bezel building up in our financial system, meaning essentially far more leverage and derivative risk than anybody understood that was there, and it's just gotten too difficult to cover.
Let me tell you where you were actually right. Okay, Warren Buffett's very optimistic, of course. In fact, it was just a year or two ago he said buy American, meaning buy American stocks, U.S. stocks. Well, on June 6th of this year, I want to show our viewers what you said right here on this program, and you've kind of been right. Listen in.
Warren Buffett, who knows a thing or two about good investments, said if there were
everyone should be prepared for something very significant. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but so I think that.
Well, hold on, wait a minute.
It.
Before you go any further, what are you talking about when you say be prepared for something?
Great Depression number 2.
Great Depression number 2. You think it's going to be worse than any recession that we've had since the Great Depression?
Yes.
You don't believe in America? You don't believe in our ability to come back fighting? We always have, Patrick.
Well, I love America. I love America, but we have deep structural problems on the order of Argentina or the Soviet Union. This is not even a recession in the normal way of understanding. This is, as Ken Rogoff said this week, last week, the second great contraction. We've never, put it this way, I never believed we were coming out of the crisis. We never were coming out of the crisis of 2008. Anything to the contrary was purely a magic trick that came about because the government pumped trillion, you stick $3 trillion into a dead dog, you can make him get up and walk around. Our economy's been broken since 2007, at least, and all appearances to the contrary have just been fake.
Okay, let me bring in Timothy Geithner. You know him because you were at Dartmouth, you met him there. There are calls for his resignation on behalf of some, mostly Republicans, and others support him completely. David Cody of Honeywell has told us he's very supportive of him. Warren Buffett thinks he's extraordinarily smart. What do you think?
First of all, he was 2 years ahead of me at Dartmouth. We knew each other, say, in passing. I think that there's a tendency in moments like these to personalize the problem. And everyone, well, not everyone, but people are looking at Geithner and saying he's the problem. He's not the problem. First, he's a very good guy. He's an intelligent guy. My first filter for people in this kind of a situation is, are they coming from ego? Are they coming, and he's not. There's nothing venal about the guy. He's trying to do his best. I do think that in general, this administration, but beyond this administration, are very in-the-box thinkers. But I think Tim Geithner's a fine guy, and the Republicans shouldn't be making politics out of this situation.
I wish nobody were making politics out of anything, but I'll tell you something right now. Right now, at this moment, oil is down more than $4. Maybe that means consumers will have more money to buy stuff on Overstock.com. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Liz.
Anytime. Patrick Byrne of Overstock.com. On deck as President